What's up, Grace Space and Grace Space Junior? Welcome back here. We are so excited. We're in week 3 of Help, and we're talking about trouble today. We're talking about when we're in trouble, because sometimes when we're in trouble, we need help. So, have you ever gotten in trouble when you've done something wrong? How did it feel? Oh, sorry. Have you ever gotten in trouble when you've done nothing wrong? Maybe a sibling blamed something on you, or maybe someone, because you were just there, wrong place, wrong time. It doesn't really feel that great, right? Well, today we're going to hear about a group of people, the Israelites. We've been talking about them the last couple times. We talked about a special guy who went down the river. Do you remember what his name was? Moses, you got it. And the Israelites, who were slaves to the Egyptians, they were treated badly and didn't deserve any of it. But we will see how God helps them. Okay, so continuing on Moses' story, so much had already happened in his life, right? So far, we learned that God had a special plan for Moses, starting when he was just a little baby. Can you show him a little baby? Just a little baby. Moses grew up and had a special encounter with God to do a very big thing for the Israelites. Moses didn't think that he had what it took, didn't think that he'd be able to get the job done, but God helped him, and he helped him to do it. So we're going to continue to see what else happens. So Moses obeyed God, and he went to Egypt. Have you ever been to Egypt before? I have not. It looks really cool. A lot of desert, I feel like, but it looks like a cool thing. So he went to Egypt to see Pharaoh, and he had his special staff with him and his brother Aaron by his side. So Moses had one message for Pharaoh. Do you know what it is? If you've heard this story before, you might know it. He said, "Let my people go." Can you say that with me? Ready? 1, 2, 3. Let my people go. But guess what Pharaoh said? He said no. He said no. Then a bunch of terrible things called plagues started to happen because God was like, hey, let this happen. Let the people go, or there's some consequences. You're going to get in trouble. So a bunch of terrible things called the plagues started happening, and there were 10 of them. Can you show me 10 fingers? This is 8 fingers. But pretend I'm holding up 10. So first things first, all the rivers in Egypt were no longer drinkable. They turned to blood. And it started happening right away. So the water, there was no water to drink, and it smelled horrible. Can you give me a Whew. It smelled horrible. So that was one of the first things. Then came the frogs. What does a frog sound like? Ribbit, ribbit. I think that's what they sound like. So the frogs were everywhere, and they were everywhere. So can you hop around? Can you hop around like a frog? Oh. That's probably not how frogs hop around. Next, all the dust turned into these little tiny bugs called gnats. Could you imagine all the dust in your room turning into little bugs? And they flew around everywhere. Fourth, slightly bigger bugs, flies. Flies were all around. Can you show me how to fly like a fly? Flies happened. And do you know what sound they make? They go bzzz. After that, all of their livestock, so this is how they survived. This is how the Egyptians survived with their food and all that stuff. Their water was taken away from them, and their livestock all died. They all were wiped out. All their horses, their sheep, their cows, all gone. Crazy. This was happening so much. And then after that, the 6th plague was boils with all these sores. So all the people had really itchy skin. So they had to bandage themselves because it was not good. Can you scratch your arms with me? It was not a good time. Okay, 7th, there was a hailstorm. Have you guys ever seen a hailstorm before? They're pretty crazy. I looked it up, and Egypt doesn't get a lot of hail or snow because, it's really hot and it's in the desert. Maybe some parts of it, but a lot of parts of Egypt do not get massive hailstones that are super big that they could really harm you when they hit you. So, after that was a swarm of locusts, like grasshoppers. Nope, I am not a fan. And they swarmed through the land, and they ate up all their wheat and all the other things that they used to live. Okay, now I want you to close your eyes. Can you close your eyes? After that, the 9th plague was darkness for 3 days. You can open your eyes. Give me a 3 for 3 days. Can you imagine? There is no light whatsoever for 3 days. And they didn't have like lights or candles. I mean, they might have had candles, but they didn't have like lights or flashlights and stuff like that. So they weren't able to see. Like, it was just dark. And then the last plague was that every firstborn son in Egypt passed away. Now this is crazy, all because the Pharaoh said no to letting the Israelites go. God knew what was going to happen, so God sent Moses to tell the Israelites to protect themselves. And let's read what the people were told to do. So if you have a Bible, go ahead and grab it. We're in Exodus 12:21 to 23, and this is what it says. Then Moses called the elders of Israel together and said to them, "Go pick out a lamb or young goat to each of your families and slaughter the Passover animal. Drain the blood into a basin." Also, remember, this is like way back when there's like sacrifices and stuff. Then bundle up the hyssop branches and dip it into the blood of this animal. Brush it across the top of the door frames of your house, and no one may go through the door until morning. So basically, they were hunkered down. They were going to be hunkered down. For the Lord will pass through the land, striking down the Egyptians. But when he sees this, like, the blood over your door frames, the Lord will pass over your home, and he will not permit his death. He will not permit the death angel to enter your house and strike you down. So, wild. That was very wild. There's all these things that were happening, and God was not super happy with the Pharaoh because he was putting the Israelites in trouble for no reason, and when they said no, it was not a good time. So this is why even today people celebrate the Passover every year, because Moses went and told the Israelites to protect themselves, so they were passed over all of these horrible things that happened. And it's to remember the time that they were spared, that God spared them because they were treated unfairly. Okay, we're going to talk some more, just a little bit more before we go check out our friends Carl and Callie. Today's big idea, our first big idea of the month was God helps us when we're helpless. Our second was God helps us in our weakness. And today, can you guess what it is? God helps us when we're in trouble. So the Israelites were in trouble, right? They were in trouble. They were being treated very unfairly. And God sent Moses to warn them and make sure that they would not be a part of what was happening, what happened to the Egyptians. Pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. Okay, so here's the situation. There's a lady. Her name is Angela. And she's having a hard time in math class. Maybe you have had her. I always had a hard time in math class. She's failing further and further behind. Who can she ask for help? Who do you think she could ask for help? Yell it out. A teacher? Good idea. Maybe a classmate? Also good idea. Maybe a parent or someone she knows or a sibling who knows how to do that as well. Okay, here's another scenario. Pedro is at a friend's house for a sleepover. It's his first time not sleeping at home. He's supposed to be sleeping, but it's really dark and he's scared. Who can he ask for help? Well, he could pray and ask God to give him peace and help him to sleep. He could maybe ask one of his friends for like a light, or he could talk to a parent about it, or he could ask God for peace. Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of a prayer stretch. Okay, we're going to do an active prayer. So a Mayday is a signal of distress. Maybe you've heard it before. In a show, people send out this signal when they are in urgent need of help. So let's call out some Mayday prayer signals to God together. So when we're in trouble or when we're when we need help, we can pray to God. So when I say Mayday, I want you to touch our toes. You're going to touch your toes and we're going to pray out loud. God, help me when I'm in trouble. You ready? Mayday! God, help me when I'm in trouble. Okay, now when I say Mayday, I want you to do a jumping jack as you pray, God, help others when they are in trouble. Ready? Mayday! Did you do it? Help others when they're in trouble. Okay, now this one, we're we're praying to God and we're asking God, thank you for helping us. So when I say Mayday, I want you to spin around once and pray that out loud. Ready? Mayday! God, thank you for helping us. Oh man, I feel all stretched out and stuff. Whenever you need help, talk to God. Don't forget to ask God for help. God helps us when we're in trouble, and he helps us in all our situations. He is with us, and he does not forget us. We can remember that from the stories and what happened with the Israelites. We can see the promises that God had back then and know that he's still the same God now, and that he loves us and that he helps us in our times of trouble. Okay, 1 second. We forgot about our memory verse. Can you say it out with me? Ready? It says, my help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. It's from Psalms 121, verse 2. Let's say it out one more time. Ready? Super, super loud so everyone in your neighborhood can hear you. My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. Psalms 121, verse 2. Good job. All right, my friends, we will see you next week for week 4. Have a blessed week, and let me pray for you before we kick it. Lord God, thank you so much for today. Thank you that you help us when we're in trouble, when things may not seem fair. Thank you for reminding us of your love and your faithfulness through the stories and what happened with the Israelites. Lord God, will you bless each person here? Will they feel your love and your peace? And will they know who you are and that they can go to you for help in anything? In your holy, mighty name, everyone said, amen. All right, my friends, we'll see you later. Have fun hanging out with Carl and Callie. Bye.
Oh, no. Oh, hey, it's me, Carl. Welcome to Grow TV. We got a lot to talk about.
Welcome to Grow TV. Hosted by Carl. Where we have fun with our friends, talk about Jesus, and go over everything the Bible has to offer. Now once again, welcome to Grow TV.
Hey, y'all. I gotta be honest. I'm not super prepared this week. I've got a lot on my mind. I tell you what, I read some of Moses' stories this week, and there's some crazy stuff happening in there. I mean, Moses said yes to God's plan for him. Then he went to Egypt and was like, hey, Pharaoh, let my people go. And Pharaoh's like, no way. And Moses is like, what? And things totally changed after that. Things changed so much, it got me scared. That's why I'm prepping. Because I read about the 9 plagues that went over Egypt, and to call me Frank, even though I'm Carl, I got scared. So I have over here some items that are gonna help me prep for any possible plagues God might send my way. This is a Yeti mask. Know what Yetis are good at? Finding beef jerky. Why? I don't know. They were made for it. So if I'm ever hungry, I put this on, I'll probably find some beef jerky. This is an air pump. You get a flat tire on your bike? No worries, I got air. This is a Batman mask. It just looks cool, so I'm keeping it. And this is a Frisbee that looks like poop. Makes me laugh. And if you throw it at people, it'll go, ah. So, Frisbee poop. And that's it for now. I mean, I have more, but I think this stuff, it'll keep me out of trouble for now.
Carl!
Hey, DJ, what's up, man?
Not much, bro. How you doing?
Well, if I'm being honest, I guess I'm a little paranoid. I've been prepping.
Oh, you prepping? What you prepping for, Carl?
The possible plagues.
Possible plagues? Carl, you lost me, man. What you talking about?
Well, I read in Exodus about the plagues, and it got me worried. What if something like that happened to us? So I got all my gear ready just in case.
I guess I can see where you're coming from. What about the story has you so worked up? Let's start there.
Well, let's look at it. Pharaoh was refusing to let the Israelites go, even though Moses told him that God had sent him, and even though Moses turned his staff into a snake.
Pharaoh still didn't listen to Moses.
Exactly. And then the plague started. So the first plague was the river that turned into blood. That's gross. If I were Pharaoh, I would have let the Israelites go right there. Ugh.
I'm with you, man. Because right after that came the frogs.
Imagine frogs in your street, in your house, and in your bed.
I know, it's terrible. After that came the plague of lice, then the plague of flies. Yuck.
Then the next plague was a plague that made all the livestock sick. Poor animals.
Yep, and then the next one was, I don't like this one, the plague of boils. I don't even know what that is, but it scares me.
Boils are like skin infections that cover your whole body and are extremely painful.
Ouch, that had to have hurt.
Want to talk about hurt? How about the next plague? Hail. Balls of ice falling from the sky.
Then locusts, bugs flying everywhere. And finally, the last one, darkness. A life covered by darkness. Listen, I'm still afraid of the dark. That's why I'm going to keep a flashlight on at all times.
Oh, wait, Carl, that's not all.
What do you mean?
Oh, there's more.
I mean, there's the final plague, darkness. What's more terrifying than that? Talk about troubling.
Carl, that's not the last plague. That's the 9th plague. There's 10.
10? Are you kidding me? I finally started to calm down, and now you drop this on me? Oh no, this is going to be awful. What am I going to do?
Well, let's talk about the last plague. It's called the plague of the firstborn.
Excuse me?
But this plague, the Israelites have a chance to save their firstborns.
The what? TJ, I'm a firstborn.
Yeah, me too. So this was Pharaoh's last chance. But God told Moses a way that the Israelites could be spared from the last plague. The people would need to take the blood of a lamb and paint their doorpost with it. Then when the plague came across the land, it would pass over their homes and they would be saved.
So the Israelites were saved?
Yes. After that, Pharaoh let the Israelites go. And after that, Moses led the Israelites out of Egypt and away from their horrible lives they knew as slaves.
Well, then what happened?
Nothing. God had saved them from Egypt and from the 10 plagues. Well, there was that moment when Pharaoh got mad and got all his soldiers and then he chased them when he was in his chariots and horses.
I knew it. More bad things happened.
But God saved them from that too. God actually had them walk right through a sea to escape Pharaoh's army.
Whoa, that's great to know that God helps when we're in trouble.
You're absolutely right, Carl. And I have good news. That's our big idea. So today's big idea is God helps us when we're in trouble.
On the count of 3, let's say it out loud. 1,
2,
3.
God helps us when we're in trouble.
God sure does. Helps us when we're in trouble. Woohoo! Good job, everyone.
I'm glad we got that all figured out, man. And you know what? Next week, I'm excited to talk about what happened to the Israelites after they left Egypt.
Well, that's great. I can't wait to learn. So I guess I don't need this stuff now, right?
Well, you might need it for that thing. That's something behind you, Carl. Something behind you, man.
What?
Gotcha. All right, kids. We'll see y'all next week.
Thank you for watching, and tune in next week for a new episode of Pro TV.
I think I made a huge mistake. Actually, I know I made a huge mistake. See this? I did this. I didn't mean for this to happen. I borrowed my mom's phone and it slipped out of my hand on the floor and broke.
Callie, please bring down my phone.
What to do? What to do?
I'm waiting.
Coming, Mom. What should I do? I think this will be my final vlog for my entire life. Friends, were you ever about to be in the biggest trouble of your life? What will she do? I feel like she will be so disappointed in me. Maybe she will be mad and not talk to me. Oh no. Maybe I'll have to eat double portions of veggies. Here's a comment from Gray. Gray says, maybe you can read something in the Bible to help. Let me Google. God helps people. Oh, look here.
It's time for our Bible story.
Last week we left off with Moses being told by God to take his brother, Aaron, and free his people, the Israelites. It might have sounded like a simple thing, but it ended up being very challenging. It was complicated because the people of Israel had become such a huge part of Pharaoh's nation. They had been held captive in Egypt for a very long time, for generations actually. But God was tired of Pharaoh refusing to set the people free. Moses was told to go with one message to Pharaoh, to let my people go. But Pharaoh said no. So God decided to send plagues. Plagues were really painful disasters sent to Egypt by God to force the Pharaoh to let God's people go. God knew Pharaoh's heart wasn't changing. He did not want to let God's people go. Pharaoh would see the power of God through the plagues and allow Israel to be free. The first plague was water in Egypt being turned to blood. But Pharaoh would still not let God's people go. The second plague was frogs being sent everywhere. But that didn't work. So a third plague was sent. The third plague was dust turned to gnats. Gnats are tiny bugs that fill the air. The fourth plague were flies. Then the fifth plague were all the horses and all the cows and all the sheep died. But none of it worked. Pharaoh was a stubborn ruler and didn't want to let God's people go.
No.
With the sixth plague, the people and animals all got boils on their skin. Painful sores covered them. The seventh plague, it rained ice. Hail fell from the sky. The eighth plague, locusts ate up all the plants. Yet, Pharaoh still wouldn't let God's people go. With the ninth plague, everything went dark for 3 days. Moses went to Pharaoh, "Let my people go." And do you know what Pharaoh said? He said no. The 10th plague was the worst one. All the oldest sons in Egyptian homes died in their sleep. This plague was devastating. Pharaoh finally changed his mind and decided to let God's people go. The people of Israel were saved that night and were free to go.
That's good news for us, friends. I bet God helps us when we are in trouble. I mean, breaking my mom's phone is pretty serious, but maybe God can help me. Maybe God will help my mom see that I'm really sorry, and I will be more careful from now on. And I bet God will help me with other things too, like making wise choices and being with me when I'm afraid. I'm so glad God helps everyone. This is a comment from Susan. Once I broke my mom's phone and she was mad, but she told me she loves me anyway. I'm sure your mom will say the same, so be brave. Thanks, friends. You have been so helpful, and don't forget how helpful God is. God helps us when we are in trouble.